And welcome into episode 60 of the Level Flight podcast. We've got a full crew back here today. The Jets have been rolling as of late. The guys, we couldn't miss it. We took last week off, a bit of a holiday break, but we're back. Episode 60. Just a quick word on, 60 episodes. I guess it's another milestone, Brian.
It is. And we're happy you're still listening to us.
Yes, exactly.
At this point, I feel like we're in this sort of long-term relationship now. So if you've stuck with us this long, welcome into the long haul. As we approach 100, get ready.
Exactly.
If you thought we were comfortable now, just wait.
That might be a bit of a threat, honestly.
Yeah, that sounds like
no, it's a promise.
Stay or else, but
it's a promise.
That's a little
interesting. Yeah.
No, we're doing good. Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't believe it. Every time we hit a milestone, I just it's nuts to me every single time. So thank you to everybody who keeps coming back, all the new people, and we're just gonna keep chugging along here. If we get to 100, that'd be great. Hopefully we have something crazy planned for that. But yeah, no, thank you to everybody. That's all I really have to say, honestly.
Yeah, thanks to everyone who stuck around. The race to 100 is on. And like you said, we're going to keep chugging along, just like the Winnipeg Jets, who will start with the Minnesota home and home to close out a 10-1-2 month of December for Winnipeg. They're undoubtedly a top 3 team in the NHL right now with the way that they're playing, especially the month of December, and then we'll get into the Tampa Bay game. But first, on that Minnesota home and home, before we get into the Ryan Hartman stuff, let's focus on the on-ice stuff here. What were your guys' thoughts? I'll start with you, Brian, on the Jets kind of just physically dominating Minnesota for 120 minutes.
Just hard fought. And it was also too, and we're seeing it now, where we're going to talk about this more later, but when you're not getting the explosive offense from that top group there, you're going to need some guys to step up. And over the last few games, especially, we're seeing it in the bottom 6 and that fourth line now featuring Dom Toninato, who is apparently he has revitalized himself into a player that I have never seen before.
4 points in 4 games.
There's only one version of Don Toninato we've seen that play for.
Yeah.
What team? We know which one, but
it's that to me was such a huge part of these 2 games here, where it was getting those guys to step up at the right time and get those game winners. You see these little, they're not all pretty either. That's the thing. The goal that Toninato scored in Minnesota to put them up after an absolute laser from Vlad Nemestikov, who we will talk about more, I'm sure. That's just one of those goals that on a delayed penalty, you're just whacking away in front of the net. You put it past Gustafsson, or I guess at that point it was Fleury. But then you also have Janssen Fjallby and all them. That group right now is playing and by the group I mean the entire forward group is playing more complete hockey in terms of just full-on effort than I've seen them play in years. You just see they step onto the ice and it's all energy all the time, and it's absolutely exhilarating to watch.
Yeah, and the rest of the forward core is feeding off of that for sure. Dom Toninato, game winner in his home state, to give the Jets back-to-back wins and send them off in December. That was what a moment. But yeah, Elliott, your thoughts on the home and home?
I think this shows. Obviously, I love the team camaraderie, and I'm not even just talking the Hartman thing. Every time they score, it seems to be that everybody's excited for whoever. You see the videos in the locker room. Everyone's got each other's back. Everybody's proud of each other. And obviously we saw that last year. And that was one of the big things on why the Jets were one of the better teams last year, even when they weren't as sustainable. But I think the biggest thing to me is just they are playing with confidence right now. This team is obviously with effort, like Brian said, and they're playing complete games, but they are playing with confidence. And we saw what happened last year. They went on a little losing skid. They lost all their confidence. And I know it's essentially the same group with a couple different players. They completely fell off the rails. Like, this team is good, obviously. They've shown that they're a good team, but they're also playing confident. And as long as they're confident, this is just going to keep rolling. Like, they are just going to keep steamrolling teams, and they are just going to go right through everybody. Because if you don't break their confidence, which I has really anybody broken their confidence yet this year either? Like
Montreal,
I guess, but didn't they? But they bounced right back for a win, didn't they? I believe they won their next game, right? Like that's the other thing.
They won their next 4 or their next 3. Yeah,
like it would be different if they lost to Montreal and that was like, oh, we've lost 3 of our last 4 or 2 of our last 3, and then you can kind of see them maybe waver. Nope, it was, oh well, we should have won that game. Oh well, let's just beat the next opponent. Like it's. They have been so good, and it's really, and it's really, there's not much else to say. Like, they are one of the best teams in the league, and it's half confidence based, and it's half they're playing well under their head coach. Like, I think this also has to be a system thing. I think finally Rick Bowness has a team with him that plays to his system, and as much as we may batter the system every once in a while because there's certain things we don't like about it, it's working. Like, I want to sit here and complain about certain things that he's doing and certain things that he's getting players to do. We can sit here and talk about the power play, which I know we will, but they're still winning games and they're still a top 3 team. Like, I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, I agree. And in terms of the on ice 5-on-5 systems, I don't think there can be an argument from anyone. They're the best defensive team in the NHL with the best goalie in the world. Like
the best 5-on-5 goal differential by a lot in the league. Yeah. Like, it's not even close.
Like you there's no argument against the 5-on-5 systems. Yes, the power play. Yes, there's some boneheaded decisions in overtime and down the stretch when it comes to lineup personnel. But in terms of just rolling your lines and how this team is playing, they're the best team in the league at doing that. And it's been a joy to watch for sure. Now let's talk about the Ryan Hartman thing. So Cole Perfetti gets high sticked off the faceoff, and then on Tuesday morning's morning skate availability, he said that he was asked a question by Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press whether or not Hartman admitted the intent of that high stick right off the faceoff. You can search up the video on Twitter; it's all over the place. And Perfetti basically was like, "Yeah." He basically admitted, like, "Hey, it's not your fault." But something had to happen because of Kaprizov's injury. Okay. And then a few questions later, Mike goes, "Well, weren't you mic'd up for that game?" And Perfetti goes, "Yeah." So we got it all on tape. And the Jets actually tweeted that the next episode of Runway, their documentary series, is coming out January 16th. So I feel like a lot of people will be tuning in to see to hear Ryan Hartman basically confess to a blatant high stick right off the faceoff. It was a dirty, dirty play. He got fined for it. That was the only discipline that came out of it. But that's the situation, if people missed it. But what were your guys' thoughts on, just Ryan Hartman being Ryan Hartman, I guess?
Well, my biggest issue is the fact that, like, I'm sorry. Firstly, the thing that they're responding to is the Brendan Dillon cross-check, which, if you watch any hockey game in front of the net, those like little cross checks that, catch guys in the ribs happen every game. And then he turns around and hits Dillon even harder than Dillon hit him.
Yeah.
So
he got him in the leg, which I get, but like, Jesus.
But like, anyone calling bloody murder on that is just, they're way off base. But I'm sorry, if you're Ryan Hartman and your thought is, they hurt our guy, someone needs to pay for it. You go find the smallest guy on the ice and do a cheap little unexpected
easiest target
stick to his mouth as he's bent over. That is, I got very close then to the very first bleep of something in the Level Flight podcast. But like, how cowardly are you that that's all you can do? Like, I'm sorry, like, drop your gloves if you're that pissed off about something. Like, that's such a little chicken thing to do. Like, like, he's such just, he never, like, he doesn't learn. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think I saw, like, he's been fined, I think, 7 times, suspended 3 in his career. It was like once every 53 and a half games, he's either fined or suspended. Like,
yeah,
I'm
Great
sorry,
job.
because and like the
Job, player
NHL
safety.
is such, like they think that whatever player safety is doing is helping. Clearly it isn't, because you see guys like Hartman who just keep running around and doing stuff, or like Tom Wilson, which I think we're due for a Tom Wilson stupid, play or something, because I think the clock runs due. So yeah, I think we're running close to that one. But like when you don't actually like suspend these guys for longer than a game or fine them more than the allowable amount, there's zero incentive for them to stop doing stupid stuff on the ice. So when Hartman goes out there, finds the smallest guy on the ice who had nothing to do with the other play, high sticks him in the mouth, and then gets fined for it. I don't know. I think I actually saw a video of him doing some more ridiculous stuff against Calgary last night too. I
think Brady tweeted that video. I think that was an old video, and it was an old slash, but it was like last year. Like, it wasn't like the first. He was a rookie. Like, I think it was like a year ago or something. But yeah, it was a dumb play. I mean, everyone's seen the replay if you're a Jets fan or a Wild fan, and I'm just so glad that these two teams don't play till February, because I can't stand the discourse. It's just so exhausting.
Oh, just wait.
Wait. I mean, this is the thing though. We said, or a lot of people were saying, I was saying, oh my goodness, Kaprizov's hurt. Sunday's going to be a bloodbath. It wasn't. There was one small cheap play that people are up in arms about.
Soon as the puck drop.
So what's going to happen on February 20th? Ryan Hartman's going to fight off the opening puck drop. Nothing's going to happen, and there's going to be one little cheap play that everyone's freaking out on over Twitter. One little cross check or one little high stick off a face-up. Like, it's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. It's not even like a guy in the danger zone getting hit right in the numbers.
At Mark Scheifele on an open net.
Or like a blatant hit to the head. This isn't like a, oh my God, player safe. Like, I don't know, man. It's just two little cheap plays, and it's just so. Oh, the Dylan cross check. Yeah. How does that go uncalled? How's player safety not in on this? It's like, what?
If
they're against the boards, like what do you
or find everyone who was cross-checking each other either in front of the net or along the boards, there would be no players left to play.
Yeah. That's why you don't see the cross-checking call get. That's not a penalty really anymore. I've not seen a ref called cross-checking in forever. Like,
it's been a while.
Definitely.
So, no, what I wanted to quickly just get in on this, because here's my thing. And this is not like, fine, you should find Ryan Hartman, because that is a cheap shot. Like, there should be some sort of disciplinary action, because you shouldn't have to do that. Why is if you want to fight somebody, go fight Brendan Dillon then. Like, if you want to go well, but you know what I'm saying? If you want to get back at whoever did it, you go and fight the guy that did it. You don't go hit the skill guy who has nothing to do with the situation. I'm not even sure if he was on the ice at the time. Like, no. Why does it need to be a cheap shot? My biggest issue with this whole situation is, once again, the NHL doesn't know what rules are. They don't know how to follow them. They don't know how to keep track of them. So they released the tweet about, back in here's the fine, blah, blah, blah. But then there was a tweet released that, back in 2005, they signed a deal that if you're mic'd up saying that you did something bad, you can't be fined or suspended or anything about it. So then why is there a suspension? Why is this one? Why is there any sort of?
I think he was going to get fined regardless. I think people were wondering that if he admitted guilt on mic, if that could actually turn it into a suspension. But I think he's getting. I'm sorry, but if you high stick two-hand guy on the face-off like that, you're usually getting fined regardless.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people were wondering, can you use the admission of guilt on an audio tape as something against him? But no, with the 2005 lockout documents and everything that was signed, that said you couldn't.
But you're also not even supposed to be able to get fined. Like that was the other thing. You're not
But
supposed to get fined
he
or
wasn't fined though
suspended.
because he was admitting
That
guilt.
was
He was
my
fined.
that was my impression though. Like that's
No,
what
he was
that's what I
fined because
swear I heard something.
he hit Cole
No,
Perfetti in the
it was
face as hard
before.
as he could with a stick. Like that's
Because
why he was fined.
Because the fine came down when the Jets were on the ice for morning skate. So then the media members were like, "Oh, okay, let's talk to Cole Perfetti because he was the guy that got hit in the face, and this guy just got fined." And then he said, "Yeah, he was on mic." But
see, that's where the discourse is having an issue because that hasn't been cleared up, and that's why I think Twitter is going nuts even about the fine because people think, "Oh, well, then why aren't you following the rules?" Blah blah. See, and this is what happens when I'm someone who just is following along on Twitter. That's why it's nice to have somebody who's in the media room like Connor, where you see the fine and then Cole Perfetti and you kind of know the order of the events. But
and I think a suspension for that would be a little much for Ryan Hartman.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a dirty play, but a fine is fine. Whatever.
For
a penalty on the play would have been the theoretical way to handle it, along with a fine. But like asking for a 1-game suspension is kind of crazy there, especially since he got 1 game for the Ehlers thing. And if we're talking about consistency, it's not there with player safety, but like if that's the bar, whatever. That's a whole nother conversation is player safety's consistency, which is not
we could talk about player safety in the NBA too. Only Draymond Green is now getting suspended from the league. Like he should have been suspended 3 net kicks ago. Like maybe 3 of them ago.
There's a few NHL players that are on track to get that same treatment. I don't know, but let's talk about the Tampa Bay game. Move on from Minnesota and Ryan Hartman, and the Jets swept them. Hey, they it was an 8-point swing in the standings, and Minnesota's still down there, way outside of a wild card spot. So Jets don't have to worry about them for a while now. Tampa Bay, big 4-2 win. Connor Hellebuyck was fantastic. What were your guys' thoughts on this one? Brian, I'll start with you. Tampa Bay, obviously, we know Kucherov, Point, Hedman. They only dressed 5 defensemen because they're in salary cap hell. What were your thoughts on the Jets just kind of wearing them down and getting better as the game went on?
Well, I think too, where and that's a great way to segue into it was early on. Like it was clear that Tampa was the team that was clearly leading and taking chances, and they were doing everything that they could to try and get up early. I mean, they did get up early, and it was a situation where a penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty, because it apparently was friendly fire, was called, and a situation where Tampa's power play has consistently been one of the best in the league for the last decade. So you'd be best to avoid that. So they go down early with the the power play goal against, but from that point forward, because I think at one point the shots were like 23-10 for Tampa. From that point though, it was as if they flipped a switch, which we've seen a lot this year, where very rarely will you get a full 60-minute bad effort from the Jets, which was we saw a lot of that in the last couple of years, where it was like that was just a bad game all around. You're seeing them actually make the proper adjustments and come back at the teams and saying, okay, here's our counter punch. And they had it. And I mean, too, what's important as well is, aside from the Ehlers goal, another non-top line effort for guys putting it in the net. And like the last few games, you got 3 goals from Iafallo. You've got a couple from Nemesnikov. You got a couple from Niederreiter. Like you're getting all these goals from guys who are really just capitalizing on their chances, and it's pushing them to victory.
Yeah. And it's the depth, right? Like Dominic Toninato has 4 points in 4 games. He wasn't even supposed to be in the lineup for these 4 games because David Gustafsson going into the holiday break was perfectly fine, and now he's injured, and Toninato has ran with it. It's been crazy that the fourth line is playing this effective, but their time on ice is going up a little bit. Bonus has noticed it. He's playing him more. They're rewarding him. They're blocking a lot of shots, and you can't really blame Bonus for for playing them more, especially
No.
we'll get into the top line later in the episode and kind of the top six in general. But the bottom six has been carrying the offense. Elliott, what were your thoughts on the Tampa Bay game last night?
I just thought it was a good game. Like I again, they're playing with 5D. It's hard for a team with who rarely, if they do have to play with 5D, for them to like not get tired by the end of the game. So the Jets really just waited them out. I think they were just waiting for the Lightning were really trying to go for it in the first period. And I think that was because they knew they were going to be tired. Let's put all of our energy out there and then just see if we can pour in a couple, if we get lucky, and then try to ride it out from there and just kind of play defensive trap hockey. But after that, the Jets just took over, and you get a goal. You get a tip goal from Neil Pionk, which was hilarious.
His comment about finally Dilly found
BD
me.
found him.
Yeah.
Which
Man.
also Pionk on the mic last night was terrific because his little comment too about the dad's trip and having a bunch of 30 different coaches.
Yeah. There's a lot of post game. I'll let
they
Elliott
are
wrap
a
up, but then
loose
the post game
bunch.
was yes.
Like I'm sorry, and listen, we love our friend Murat. He got absolutely cooked by Bonus last night with the reference to the barber episode in Seinfeld. I'm sorry. With Bonus is usually, for the most part, fairly cut and dry. Kind of calls it like it is. If things go well, he talks about it. But like cutting someone off in the middle of a question about the power play to say that he reminds him of an episode of Seinfeld, that is a very loose bunch of people right there.
Yeah, it was hilarious. The entire media room was like crying laughing because like you said, Murat is like, so Rick, like is the power play like any closer to where you want it to be? And he goes, you ever seen that one episode of Seinfeld where Jerry gets like a bad haircut and then starts seeing other barbers? And he was like, made me think of that. But like Bonus has said to Murat in the past that he like likes his haircut. So I don't know what.
Well, no, he got it cut recently. I mean, the whole thing about that because it had been a while. So I guess Rick, not a fan.
No, he is a fan though. I think his haircut and the way Murat styles it just reminds him of the Seinfeld episode because Rick said like a week or two ago, when Murat actually got the haircut and it was super short, he was like, "What is with the hair?" And then he was like, "I really like it though." Like
that's
looks
so
good.
funny though. With he just the fact that it's like the opposite of Torts, where if you got a haircut around Torts, he'd be like, "Well, you might as well just shave your head." I hate you people. I want to leave. That was the thing because he recently, I think Torch just recently hit a milestone, and someone asked him about like his favorite parts of being a coach. He was like, being in the room. My least favorite part is being out here. So can you guys leave me alone? And then he walked away.
Yeah, that's Torch. No, but the Murat Bonus hair saga is hilarious, and last night was
Something
probably
to
the
watch.
funniest. Something to watch for sure.
Quality content.
Weekly updates.
Yeah. Yes.
Its own podcast show.
Yeah.
Featuring Murat. Anyway. Yeah. I my favorite part of that is he cut him off when he asked the question about the power play. I think that's why he brought it up, because I think he was trying to avoid the power play question because he knew it was coming, and he knew it was probably coming from Murat. Because Murat just released an article about it. I know that much on The Athletic. So I'm sure Bonus probably saw it and was like, nope, next question he gets, I am interrupting him. But no, other than that, I thought the Jets played well down the stretch, and it was a good win. Like, I hate the Kucherov score at the end of the game. Like, Hellebuyck should have a one-save win, but it is what it is. You can't really do anything about bounce like that. I mean, you also shouldn't take a penalty that late in the game, but
Hellebuyck's stats are also like through the roof, so that goal does hurt for sure. But he's not the worse for wear in that category right now. Most impressive thing about the Tampa Bay game for me was that, the first period they got dominated. There's no other really way to say it, but I was kind of expecting a slow start coming off of the back-to-back emotional wins against Minnesota. But their ability to fight, like this team does not give up, unlike years past. And with 5D, they're going to wear you down. They wore down Minnesota, who was playing a full lineup over the span of 2 games. Never mind a team that's playing 5D. That third period, they were getting pucks deep, as as coaches love to say, but they were forechecking, playing along the wall, and just dominating them physically. It showed. They won. This is what this team does. And Tampa Bay in the back half of the game didn't really generate much. And this team's defensive structure, we talked about it off the top of the episode. It's really tough to generate chances on this team right now. And then when you do, Connor Hellebuyck's there to make the save. And that's a winning formula. 26 straight games without allowing 3 or more goals. It's really ridiculous. And I tweeted out the other day that they only allowed more than 2 goals once in the month of December, and that was an overtime game against Montreal. So those 2 goals came in regulation. Like, they lost in overtime. If they had lost in shootout, like, there's going to be a 3 for one team when you go to overtime in 2-2. But they didn't give up more than 2 goals in regulation in December. They finish off December with the back-to-back against Minnesota, where they shut them down. And then Tampa Bay comes to town, and they give up 1 goal for the majority of the game, and then Kucherov scores with like under a minute left. But whatever. It's the defensive structure is unbelievable. This team is playing really well at home, and this game against Tampa just fully encapsulated like all of that into one win. Like, they don't give up. The defensive structure's there. They dominate at home. Connor Hellebuyck's fantastic. Everything you could want in this one game. So those are my thoughts on the win. But let's very long-winded thoughts. But let's get to a break from our ad sponsor, DraftKings, and we will be right back. Episode 60 of the Level 5 podcast. Stick around. We got talk on the top line, the defensive structure. We're going to get Brian and Elliott's thoughts because I just rambled about it. And then some other thoughts, maybe the power play, maybe the top 6. So stick around, and we will be right back after a word from DraftKings.
Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved.
And welcome back into episode 60 of the Level Flight podcast. Thank you once again to DraftKings for sponsoring this episode. And as we said, going into break, we've got some bigger topics to cover. Let's start with the top line. The holiday break clearly was not kind to their hot streak. Gabriel Velarde was like the hottest player in the NHL going into it. Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, that top line was rolling. Now coming out of the holiday break, they've now gone 4 straight games without I guess Ehlers scored last night, but we'll get into that line change a little bit. But those lines changed when Ehlers got that point. Chicago, both Minnesota games, and the first 2 periods of the Tampa Bay game, that top line did not have any points. What do you guys think? Like, is this line finally like lost their kind of lightning in a bottle kind of vibe to them? Do you think they just kind of hit a rough patch and they should go right back to it? I will say the line changes they made were just Nemestikov and Scheifele switched. So it's now Ehlers, Nemestikov, Velarde, Iafallo, Scheifele, Perfetti. So do you guys think they should stick with that going forward or go back to that top line, see if there's any more juice left with that combination? Brian, I'll start with you.
See, it's interesting because I'm of the mindset that when you have a line that's dominating as much as they were in that little stretch, teams are going to start throwing everything they possibly can at you to try and slow you down. And when you have the holiday break and they come back, one, they may have lost a little bit of a step because it's a slight, it's just that little break. It will disrupt routines. Mm-hmm. And combine that with teams taking notice of how good they've been. you're probably seeing that's what the reaction is. And I don't know if it's something that should break them up permanently. I will say it did. It showed though that they can do a little lineup flip and not hurt too much. Because in the past, it's been very clear that if they do a lineup flip, it's usually it goes top heavy and then no one else can score. But I'll be real, I really liked what they looked like after they switched. I don't think it's enough to say let's abandon the existing lines. But I personally thought, and I messaged you guys early because I wanted to talk about this. Perfetti playing on that line with Scheifele, I thought that he looked terrific. And like there was late, you saw him too. Like later there, he was outworking Victor Hedman. I'm like, and I honestly, I truly think that just because he's small, people don't pay attention to his little physical plays. But he's not someone who shies away from a board battle. He's not someone who just kind of floats around because he's tiny and he doesn't want to get hit. He is someone who gives his all the time, and his height doesn't really measure how much effort he's putting in. And I think we saw that because Victor Hedman's what, 6'5", I think? 6'5", 6'6". Is he 6'7"?
6'7".
You know who else is 6'7"?
He is.
I'm not saying his name. But you see him though, he's outworking guys that are so much bigger than him because that's just who he is. And I don't want to hear anyone saying that he needs to get better and needs to get bigger. He's done all that. Like I watched him in that Minnesota, the second Minnesota game, where he actually sent himself into the boards, won the puck battle, and got it out for a good chance. Like that's just it's a great way that he plays. And I thought that him playing with Scheifele was also a little level of diversity to the lines in the sense that you move Ehlers and Velarde, and if you wanted to, you could probably use that as a shutdown line with how strong defensively both Velarde and Nemestikov are.
Yeah.
But Perfetti is one of the best defenders up front as well, and helps to cover some of the deficiencies that you find in Mark Scheifele's game and some of the deficiencies that you might find in an Alex Iafallo's game, which their styles just seem to work. And as I said, I don't know if they stick with it. Because you have a few games, obviously, where they've quieted down, but you have to wonder if maybe they are looking at some other things too, where one of these guys is going to act as a quote unquote placeholder for when they need to find out where to put Kyle Connor coming back, who is it seems like he might be ahead of schedule. He's skating.
No. Maybe the Velarde was 4 to 6 weeks, and he came back in like 6.5. Like he pushed it. I think the Kyle Connor thing, he's like 6 to 8 weeks. He might be closer to 6 than 8, which is good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because we had that whole conversation where it's like if it's 6 to 8, it's going to be 8.
People assume 8.
So I consider this ahead of schedule because for the most part, it's usually the top end of it. But seeing him out there skating regularly this week was something I was not anticipating. I was thinking maybe on like a separate sheet, but he was with a few guys this morning, just like who are actually, in the lineup on a day-to-day basis. So it's nice to see. But you got to think it's in the back of the coaching staff's minds, just wondering what happens when you get, such an incredible goal scorer back. But no, I liked what I saw from them. I still think that line of, Ehlers, Scheifele, Velarde has more to give. And it's just they've just hit a rough patch, but we'll see what they do against the Sharks, who they have to beat. Please, God, beat them.
Yes. And just to quickly further your Perfetti point, there was a player, I remember in the first Minnesota game, where him and a player were going to the puck along the wall at the same time, and he like shoulders into him. The guy high sticks him, like you could see his helmet fly back. No call. He still wins the battle with his foot, gets it downloaded to Nemestikov, and then drives the net for a give and go, and hits it on the back door. And Fleury at the time made a really nice save, but like Cole Perfetti winning a board battle, fighting through a high stick, and then doing a give and go and driving the net hard, like that's growth. We haven't seen that from Perfetti when he was obviously younger, which you don't blame him when he's 5'10" and he's 19 years old playing his first couple NHL games. You're not expecting that, but that is growth. I agree with what you're saying there. Elliott, what are your thoughts on the kind of preliminary line changes, and do you think they should go back to the trio that was lighting the league on fire?
I'm going to keep it nice and short. I think they go back to that line. They've got to have some sort of usage left. They can't have just. I mean, if they've used it all in that stretch, then you've used it all in that stretch.
Right.
But I think they have a little bit more. We saw it in the Lightning game last night. Like you see it at little points. Like I think that they're just fine. I think the Nemestikov on the first line is a little interesting, but I mean he's so flexible.
I think it's more
anywhere.
I think it's more Ehlers and Velarde are on the second line.
Yeah,
with,
I guess
with
so.
Nemestikov. Yeah,
but either way, and then just to further your Perfetti point, like the only knock that we have on him is his skating. Really, like he's not the fastest guy. Other than that, I would not knock him on almost any other, and maybe in his shooting. But like I will, like I know that he can get in battles deep. He's a bigger body. I will say his agility is better than I expected. But obviously we know what his passing is. He is a very good player. I think he's a very important part to this Jets team. And when he was in the lineup last year, he was good. And then we saw what the Jets missed having him, just being able to create chances with his passing and trying to be able to move the puck either up ice or in the offensive zone.
Yeah, he's come really close to a lot of goals too over the last 4 games, and he just hasn't gotten the bounce or the
maybe that would help. But
he did say on the radio in the post game that puck flipped up on him in the Tampa Bay game, but man, that was a wide open net, fired it high and wide. But again, Perfetti is just he's getting the chances, and he's a pass first player, and he's still getting the chances, right? But the top line, quickly, my thoughts. You've got a stretch coming up here. You get San Jose, Anaheim, Arizona, Columbus, Chicago.
Yep.
I think you should leave that line together for like the next 2-3 of those games, because if they can't dominate against a San Jose, against an Anaheim, then maybe it's time to switch away. But I think you can use San Jose as kind of like a get back on track, get that heater going. What if you go into San Jose and Ehlers has a goal, Scheifele has a goal, and Velarde has 3 assists? And it's like, what? Well, there we go. Now we're back. The good feeling is back on that line. They're back on their heater a little bit, and then you can carry that into maybe some tougher competition. But I think you should use those bad teams. Again, the one loss in December came to San Jose, so they got to beat them. But I think you can use a San Jose or an Anaheim as a team that you can reestablish the chemistry that line had, and you're not playing against a Victor Hedman or a Anthony Cirelli, like a team's top defensive players on both sides. That's my take. I think they should leave them together at least for these next 2 games against San Jose and Anaheim.
It's a great barometer as to figuring out how exhausted they are in terms of their production.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
Good take.
Thank you. Wow. We need more kindness in 2024. That's what we need. Yes. More kindness in this world. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. The power play, I mean, there's a clear emphasis to just shoot the puck anytime it's on anyone's stick. I like that change. Yes, I like that change. I think things are happening. I think I saw with my own 2 eyes that Gabriel Velarde missed a wide open tap in the first Minnesota game, just slid under his stick. And if that power play unit got that goal there, maybe they get going. Velarde also just missed a backdoor tap in against Tampa Bay. And I think they're going to be fine. I really like the shot mentality. Just quickly, your guys' thoughts on the power play, Brian?
Well, the thing that I really liked was that power play goal from Nemestikov in the second game against the Wild, where
again, just shoot it.
He just wheeled out around the circle there and just took a shot, because at the very least, one, you're getting either a face-off in the offensive zone, you're getting a rebound in which you have guys around the net, or you're scoring. So he obviously checked one of those boxes. But like, if you have a shot that close, and we've seen it a lot where guys just defer the shot and they pass it off. I'm like, no, take the shot when you have the shot. Don't wait and make it perfect. Because if you try to wait and make it perfect, you're going to miss your opportunity, because someone's going to get in front of it. But Nemestikov just wiring one past Fleury. Firstly, I don't think anyone expected Vlad Nemestikov to have a rocket like that just because he's not someone who you know as like this incredible shooter. And I'm like, if
No.
everyone's shooting now, you don't know what to expect.
Something's got to go in at some point. Like
Yep.
that's the shot mentality. Like Vlad is not. I would say he's a good skill player, but he's not like I didn't think he had
Not
that in
blowing
his
you away.
game. No, like that's the other thing. I didn't think he had that in his game. Like that's a Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele. Like Kyle Connor scores, and you go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Kyle Connor.
Even Kyle
he can
Connor
do
hasn't
that.
had that nice of a shot this year.
No, like not at all. But I agree with both of you. I think the shot mentality is a good thing coming. And yeah, goals like that are going to happen where you go, whoa, that person can do that. They're professionals. Yeah. They just need time and space, and some of them it takes more attempts than not. But yeah, to beat Fleury glove side like that was nuts. But they're going to generate some chances, and at some point, they'll go on a little heater on the power play. As we've seen this year, they've gone on long or short little heaters for everything this year. So I'm sure at some point we'll have a thing where, oh, the power play can't be stopped. They've scored on 4 of their last 10 and they're 40% and they're great or whatever.
I'm of the mindset that just like even like league average special teams play from the Jets has them as like 100% Stanley Cup contender.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing too is obviously
PK.
The power play is something we've been talking about a lot.
Right.
Their penalty killing isn't near where it was last year either.
Yes.
So like if you just bring those even up to average, because they're below average in both, I believe right now.
I think kill is coming up. Penalty kill has been better.
I think last time I checked, they were like 23rd on the PK, 26th on the power play.
Yeah.
Like
So
they're below 15 in both for sure.
If you bring that closer to league average, then suddenly it's not just like, because I always love the joke where it's like, can you decline the penalty? Because I feel as if that obviously they are a better 5-on-5 team. But if you actually add that threat of you take advantage of the opportunity you're given on the power play, I do not see, and we're going to talk about this next, with a goaltender like Connor Hellebuyck, you're looking at a team with very minimal weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes, and they're. I mean, maybe we can have this discussion next week. I don't know what's really going to change when they play a San Jose, Anaheim, and Arizona. But the Jets is a Stanley Cup contender. Like after the month they just had, we're kind of running out of airtime here. But that maybe we'll save that discussion. That'll be next week's kind of large
we could
topic
go for a
that we
long
dive
time
into.
on that.
Yeah, so maybe we'll save that for episode 61. But yeah, they're a team with very little weaknesses, like you said. Again, on the power play, though, Velarde against Tampa Bay had a really nice drop step or fake drop step that Vasilevsky pushed across and then pushed back and made an incredible save. Velarde scores that against the Sharks or against the Blackhawks, and he scores that every time. Yeah. Against Tampa Bay, against maybe a top 3 goalie in the world, he might not go in. He might make an incredible play.
I'm just thinking too of how many games have we talked about this year where they're a power play goal away from winning the game, essentially.
Yes.
Yep.
They probably beat Montreal both times if they convert. They probably beat San Jose the first time they play.
Yeah.
If they convert. We're talking about a team that could probably only have 5 losses total if they just convert on the power play a couple times.
Is this what winning feels like?
And the games,
I don't know how I feel about
it. Yeah. I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, they'll go 0 for 4 in their own power play. The other team will go 2 for 3. So it just completely kills you. And they're still close. They keep it close because their 5-on-5 game is so dominant. Maybe they outscore their opponent 2-0 in the 5-on-5 game. Or 2-1 and end up losing 3-2.
It's like that Chicago game where they dominated 5-on-5, can't score. Go 0 for 2 on the power play against Chicago, who has a very bad penalty kill. And then lose in overtime because you couldn't convert on a chance. So it's just a matter of looking at that and realizing a even slightly improved power play and just being opportunistic turns you into this juggernaut that I don't know if any team can properly match up against.
Yeah, I agree. And there's no better time than the present because, I've said many times, got San Jose, Anaheim, Arizona, Chicago, Columbus coming up. power play has got to get going. That's front of mind for me. You got to be able to score goals against these teams with the man advantage. It's just, it's hitting a
100%.
point where it's unacceptable if you can't against these teams. So we'll see. Maybe they have some tricks up their sleeve, but like I said, I like the shot mentality. Last topic we want to talk about. We've talked about him many times, but we just want to kind of give him his flowers because he's playing at the top of the league yet again. Connor Hellebuyck. I think he's tied now. He's an odds-on favorite, and he's tied with Thatcher Demko of the Vancouver Canucks for the Vezina Trophy.
Yeah.
And I mean, his stats in December are astronomical. His stats on the season now, like, who else remembers that slow start? Yeah, neither do I. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
He's by far the best goalie in the league. I took a look at Money Puck before we hopped on today. He's got 15.4 goals saved above expected, which is number 1 in the NHL. The gap between him and number 2, which is Thatcher Demko, is the same gap between Demko and number 5 on the list, which is Charlie Lindgren. With goalies with at least 15 starts across the entire NHL, he's top 4 in goals saved above expected per 60. So it's not like he's just starting the most games in the NHL, racking up goals saved above expected here and there, and just fighting his way to number 1. No, on a per rate basis, he's still a top 5 goalie in the league. It's not just a raw total stat. He's doing it on a per 60 basis. He's still number 1 in the league. His save percentage is over 920 now.
Well, it's like since the start of December, he has had a single start below 920 in an actual save percentage, point of view from each game. Like it's
unbelievable.
Insane.
It's unbelievable. And it's the best defensive structure he's ever played in front of. I think it's better than the 2017-18 team defensively, at least.
Yeah.
The stats would they're suppressing chances better than we've seen of a Winnipeg Jets team ever since they came back, right? Yeah. So this 2017-18 team maybe doesn't, or the team now compared to the 2017 team maybe doesn't have the firepower up front, the star power. I mean, they are missing Kyle Connor right now. We do have to take that into account.
And they're doing all
defensively.
This.
Yeah, but defensively, holy moly, this team is shutting down chances at a level we've never seen. They're all bought in. And then, like I said earlier in the episode, once you finally crack that defensive structure, you get a chance to go toe-to-toe with Connor Hellebuyck. And it for me, before I get Elliott's thoughts on this, it all goes back to the dual signings on Thanksgiving Monday, right before I stepped on the ice of a beer league game. I'll never forget, because I felt trapped, couldn't get my thoughts out there. But man, that showed everyone in the room, everyone in the city, this team was bought in. Niederreiter extended because of it. He even said so in his presser. He said, when those guys signed, it showed me that Chevy wants to win, this team wants to win, the city wants to win, and I want to be here for it. And Mark Scheifele's been a top-line center in every sense of the word. Connor Hellebuyck's been the best goalie in the NHL. And then you combine the Dubois trade, the Niederreiter trade, the Nemestikov trade. Like, Kevin Cheveldayoff had a hell of a 2023, and it's all come to this, right? This is his team. He's built it. And it's been fun to watch. But Connor Hellebuyck, Elliott, what can you say about his season so far and just how incredible he's playing, especially in the month of December and January?
I think my biggest thing about this whole resurgence is he's not also having to, normal in previous years, and you guys can attest to this probably, normally a night when he's having a good game, he's got 2 or 3 wow, oh my god, how did he save that? He didn't have that last night.
No.
He didn't have that, and he let in 2, and I don't even think I blame him for the second goal. The second goal
enough,
shouldn't have. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, funny enough, to further your point, the Jets posted on Instagram, Connor Hellebuyck's the 3rd star of the month in the NHL. Okay, so it's like the Instagram thing that you swipe through is a bunch of highlights. First highlight, point shot, save, rebound, pops out in the slot, hits Hellebuyck in the chest. All right, that's the highlight. Okay, next highlight. Connor Hellebuyck facing a shot, square on, kick, pad, save, rebound, goes way out. That's the highlight. Okay, next highlight. Connor Hellebuyck's hugging the post, gets passed out into the slot. Again, another pad save, just because he's in good positioning. Okay, that's the highlight. It's like this guy doesn't make highlight reel saves. He doesn't. He's just in the right spot. Yeah,
perfect position, but also it's a testament to the
crazy.
defensive structure.
Yes.
They're keeping it from being those cross ice passes. Like, you don't have to worry about him sending himself across the net because,
It's
you know,
crazy.
someone blew their coverage. Like, it happens occasionally, but you don't see it like we have in past years where it's
It
like,
also
oh my
seems
God,
like he's ready for it. Like, it's like he sees it's like in years past where there'd be a defensive breakdown or there'd be a break in coverage and he has to try to get across. It seems like when this team breaks down, Hellebuyck is ready for it. It's like he's read. Oh, he's gonna get this coverage is gonna get broken here. So I need to get from post to post, or I need to position a little bit more to the left so that I can literally square up this next shot.
Yeah,
because there are passes where I go, oh no, that's a break in coverage, and it goes, oh, well, Hellebuyck was already ready for it. He's standing right there. Like I don't feel worried. It doesn't really like. Yes, the defensive structure is breaking teams down, and it's not allowing tons of chances. And when they are, they're not great. But when they do get a great chance, Hellebuyck's right there. Like as much as this is a singular Hellebuyck effort, it also is a team effort. And I think that's the biggest thing. This is a team thing. And we talked about it when I believe it was just me and was that just me and you, Connor, that episode after the Hellebuyck signing?
I think it might have been, yeah, but
either or. Crazy. We both made the point that Connor Hellebuyck, for him for the Jets to get the most out of this deal, they need to make sure that he has a good defensive structure and team in front of him so that he can elongate his longevity. This is exactly how you do that. And I'm not even talking about Brossoit having had a couple of good games here and there, and he's now heated up and he's now taken some games as well. This is literally Hellebuyck's facing around 25 to 28 shots a night. That's a sustainable amount, and he's keeping the Jets in every single game.
Yeah, and his it's so funny. I'm like Connor Hellebuyck, when he has a good game, doesn't make the highlight package. Like, it just, you look at the stat sheet, look at the box score, he made 27 of 28 saves, and that's just what he does. And you didn't notice him. There wasn't one save that was like, wow, Jets really needed that save. They would have been screwed without it. Like, no, the guy just
but he can do that
right
though.
Spot.
Like, that's all he can do. That he can do that.
He has the capability. He
hasn't had to. Yeah, he just hasn't had to. Which I think that's
like
the biggest thing.
When you're pumping Boston 5-0 at home, like, you're not thinking about the goalie, right? But at the same time, Boston has 0 goals in the game. Like, or they ended up with 1 late because people started doing the wave. Come on, But like the Connor Hellebuyck's best games, it's crazy. He hasn't had to steal any this year. He hasn't had any vintage. Oh my goodness, look, he made 48 saves and the Jets won 1-0. He hasn't had any games like that, and he hasn't had to. And that's just a testament to how good this team's playing. Anything else that we want to talk about? Any bigger topics? No, that's everything. All right. Episode 60 of the Level Flight Podcast. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. It was a blast. We'll be back next week, episode 61. After we'll be back. 3-game road trip. And we will be back to cover the first game. Yes, late nights. The first game of the homestand, which is Columbus. It goes Columbus on the Tuesday, then Connor Bedard again, and the Blackhawks on the Thursday, and then Philly on the Saturday. And then the Flyers, who are playing good, and that should be a really fun night inside CLC that Saturday 100%. Night. So we'll be back next week to cover the road trip, the Columbus game. Come back next week, should be fun. Maybe we'll have a discussion on whether or not the Jets are elite contenders. But when they go 0-3 against the Sharks, Blue Jackets, and Ducks, we will be singing a different tune.
Optimistic. Like, well, we spent like 20 minutes talking about how like literally a league average power play makes them the most unstoppable team in the league. They're going to lose to the worst team in the league, and we're going to regroup next week and punch ourselves in the face.
Yes. So tune in for that. That should be fun. But this was a blast. It was fun to get back after not recording last week. So come back next week. Check out us on all of our socials at Level Flight WPG, and we will see you all next week. Have a great week, everyone. See ya.
Peace.